All right, good afternoon, guys. Obviously, we are excited to get, you know, have a good practice today, get ready for this Tennessee game. A team that's coming off of a really nice win. Got a couple of guys that are really tough to guard. Kevin Punter, obviously, scoring about 25 points a game in the conference. Had 36 points in his last game, a win for Tennessee. Got some other guys that's coming off the bench that can put up some big numbers. Some big guys that can handle the ball like guards. And so it's not always their guards initiating pick and rolls. It could be some of their big guys with some of their dribble drive and pick and roll action. So team with different strengths from other teams that we've played here recently. So, we're going to have to do a good job of having the right kind of game plan, emotional, energy, physicality. Another team that can rebound the ball. They get to the free throw line quite often, and they make their free throws. So, overall, we're going to have a really great team performance from the start of the game to the end of the game, and hopefully have a chance to finish better than we did in our last game.
Thank you, Coach. Just raise your hand and we'll bring Mike over to you. Start with Matt on the left.
Two questions, Avery. First of all, with Punter, what makes him a tough matchup, and what does he do well?
He's a little bit of a throwback because his mid-range game is pretty efficient. These days is either a three or you're getting a guy driving all the way to the basket. But his in-between game at 12 feet is pretty outstanding, and he gets his shot off. He's got a great touch. He can drive both ways, so it's not like we can force him left or force him right. But I think that's really what separates him. And, I think he gets to the free throw line about 8 times a game. And so he's pretty efficient there.
And just in terms of the close games, I think it was Riley referenced the free throw shooting and how big that is in terms of the close games. Hey, how big of an emphasis have you put on just improving the free throw shooting, and what can you even do right now to get that better?
Yeah, we've put a big emphasis on it. We stopped doing practice and work on it a lot. We have all sort of games that we play. We put score. We'll put a score on the clock. We're down 2 and we need to make both of these free throws, or the guys have to run. We do a lot of different things trying to improve our free throw shooting. I try to work on our players' mechanics, but sometimes it's not always a mechanical thing as much as it could be a confidence. Just trying to stay calm during that time and knocking them down. Because sometimes you miss one free throw, or if you miss 2 in a row, that's like a defensive stop. But hopefully we'll have some better fortune with making our free throws, especially in the last 5 minutes of the game.
Stand left. Stand. Coach, a couple questions for you. Y'all lost 3 in a row, but all 3 games that y'all probably could have won. Is it encouraging to you as a coach to see them still giving the same maximum effort and energy out there on the court despite the losing streak?
Yeah, absolutely. And even though it is a losing streak, we're just focused on playing well from start to finish in one game. During this streak, we haven't graded out as high as we needed to defensively. Again, we're having problems with turning the ball over. So we got to minimize our turnovers because, I got a quote in my locker room that I borrowed from Coach Popovich about, a guy, beating on the rock. And the rock breaks at the 100 blow, but it wasn't the 100 blow that broke the rock. It was the 99 other blows that preceded it. And even though we could have done a better job of executing on the last play of the game because we had some people open and we didn't get them the ball. But, the first 5 minutes of the game are important. The first 10 minutes, the first 15 minutes. So just trying to get our players to understand that even though the last 5 minutes or the last play of a game is important, but the other, 38 minutes are just as important.
And kind of a lighter question: have you seen the video of the players impersonating you? And
Oh, yeah.
and which
Yeah.
one did the best impersonation of
You know, I think they all did a good job. I like Lawson's. You know, he was pretty funny. Justin walking like me was funny. Redden was good. Mike with his student athlete. Yeah, I liked them all. Avery Jr.'s wasn't as good as, you know, he's been with me the longest, and he's probably was the worst. Okay, but yeah, it was pretty funny. Good lighthearted moment. We need to hopefully have more things to smile about here sometime soon.
Coach, you were kind of just addressing it, but with the losses and these close losses, keeping it lighthearted, how important is that for you, and how do you do that in practices and before games?
Yeah, what we've tried to do is try to find a balance. And, you know, sometimes, you know, people tend to want to focus on the negative about the close losses, but we've also had some close wins. And it's just the cycles of the season. Most of the games that we play, even tomorrow night, we're an underdog. All right, when LSU came in here with the two guys that potentially can be first-round picks, Quarterman and Simmons, they made, you know, they scored 5 points for them in the last minute. That was critical. All right, so whether we're playing LSU or whatever team we're playing, we understand we're always the underdog. We don't have a lot of margin for error, so we have to play well on all cylinders, take care of the ball, hopefully get our share of rebounds, and give ourselves a chance to win. They had two great players that just made, you know, Simmons made an one play drive on us. Quarterman missed the shot. Ball takes a funny bounce. He gets it back. So that's just the way it goes sometimes. But our team has no surrender, okay? Today we will have a physical, tough practice, and hopefully we'll get the carryover, continue to get energy from our fans here at home, and give ourselves a chance to win. That's what this year is all about. Every game trying to be in position to win the game.
Avery, I think you said after Game 7 that every 7 games, that you pick something that you want you guys to improve on. What was the focus? What did you identify after Game 14? So what was the most recent thing that you identified?
I think one of the things was trying to change our starting lineup. That's one of the things we did. We thought we needed to improve our rebounding. So we got Riley a couple of games back into the lineup. And that got us to a point where we were bigger, and we think that's helped us. On our offensive rebounds recently, we've been scoring at a clip of 1.2 per possession. That's better than our half-court offense. So that's something, going bigger, trying to win the rebound game, and Raleigh's helped us in that area. Moving forward, we still have to do a better job. I think in our last 7 games, I think we have 70 assists and 91 turnovers. That's not good. So that's another problematic area that we have to improve on.
Coach, back to the
Did that answer your question? I'm sorry, Cecil.
Oh.
Did that? Okay, all right. Go ahead, Cecil.
back to something you mentioned just a little earlier about the crowds. Have you been encouraged with the sort of the growth of that over the course of the season with the home games? Is it where you envisioned ahead of?
You know what? It's better than what I envisioned. See, I've been so many different places on this campus all around the state promoting, you know, our brand of basketball, trying to clearly articulate a vision on this year and, you know, where we want to go moving forward, and trying to encourage specifically our students that they have to take pride in our basketball team and show up and get rowdy at the games and just get involved and staying on their feet the entire game except at halftime. And I think we've had a lot of success there, and it makes a difference. If we don't have the crowds that we've had recently at our home games, I don't know if you would see the type of performance that we're having, because they ignite our guys, they fuel our guys, and all of the teams and schools, all of the schools and programs that we're competing with, they have unbelievable home court advantages. So, and it's great for our recruits to see what's happening at Coleman, and so it's very positive, and I really appreciate their support, and hopefully they'll continue to support us through thick and thin.
Going to right, Tyler.
A couple questions for you real quick, Coach. Just first of all, obviously with the losing streak, maybe it's harder to keep the guys upbeat. Have you pointed to some of those non-conference wins, especially Clemson and Notre Dame? I know you touched on it after LSU, that are winning right now, and that y'all have beat those teams before?
You know what? Not really. What I've pointed to, I've tried to use some setbacks in my own personal life. And I think that's been hitting home with the guys, and one of the reasons why they've been up for these games. So I've shared some intimate, private situations that I've been through that weren't pleasant. But I tried to encourage them that I had to persevere in those situations, and I want to encourage them to persevere. So they already know about the non-conference wins and what we did in those situations. But I try to use some out-of-the-box situations that they don't know about, personal stories, team situations with teams that I've been in that were malfunctioning in certain ways, and what we did to overcome it.
Okay, thank you, Coach. And my second question is just, is there anything at this point of the season that kind of surprised you in terms of your first season, either with the guys you had or some of the competition you played, either in the SEC or the non-conference so far?
One of the things I'm pleased with overall, and without mentioning any names, some of our guys, when we started in the summer, to see the dramatic improvement in their games from then until now, or in a guy's body. I'll give you one example then. So I had a specific mandate for Riley Norris in terms of what I wanted to see on the court from him in terms of his body. He's done everything I've asked him to do, and he looks good. And he's had a positive impact, and he's improved on the court. So I like a lot of those stories. And even Retton, look at where Retton was last year. I think he only started in 9 games. He started all 18 games for us, and look how he's improved. So that's been pretty gratifying for me.
Let's do one last question so Coach can get to practice. Go to Cecil on the left.
Coach, I know it's still early in the process. Can you give us any update on how Dejon's doing, just
Oh, okay.
physically and
Yeah.
emotionally?
Yeah, well, he got his cast off. He's off his little scooter. Now he's on crutches, and hopefully in a week we'll progress him to 1 crutch, and then after that, he can start walking, still in his boot, but he's been, cooperating with his rehab, his weight training with Lou, his rehab with Clark. They've been doing a great job. He looks good, and he's just been learning a lot. He's been absorbing a lot of information, and I stay in constant contact with him. Not only when we're here in person, but via text message, telephone. I don't tweet him, but we stay in constant communication. All right. Okay. Thanks.